Hello and welcome back to the Checkpoint Reach podcast. I'm your host Luke Eldon, and as ever I'm joined by my fellow gamers and friends Sun and Perks. How you doing, guys?
Pretty good. Yeah, doing well.
And as ever, Sud is very good.
I am.
Oh, good. We want him to be happy, Perks.
Yeah, this time of the year, it's it's festivities and all that.
Exactly. We want
that's finished now. That's a year away.
It's not over till after the new year. But anyway, that's a whole new debate.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring sort of a special episode, I guess, to talk about our personal opinions of the best games over the decade.
Yeah.
With that coming to an end. So, yeah, where do you want to start, guys? Because there's a lot of games.
Are we going to start with the best? First,
yeah, just
I guess.
Our opinions of some of the best games we played over the last decade.
I guess it's hard to nail down a best game, isn't it? That's really tough to do, to be fair.
Yeah, so let's just select some of our favourites.
Yeah. Well, I think we should start with The Witcher 3. Because we all played it and all loved it. So it's probably a good place to start.
And it's very topical with watching The Witcher.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It is.
So, yeah.
What a fantastic game.
Yeah, I love that game. I love the whole universe as well surrounding it, especially the TV show now. It's great. But, the game was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was another game that was hyped massively. I mean, I remember the hype behind that game. And because I remember, you played Witcher 2 first, didn't you? I played it a little bit. I thought, yeah, this is a good game. It's fine. It's a good game. I didn't think it was anything special, but it was a good game.
Yeah, pretty much that.
And then I remember the hype for Witcher 3, and I remember watching the trailer and thinking, wow, this game looks awesome. And it was awesome, wasn't it? You know, the characters.
That was one of the few games that actually delivered on the hype was accompanying it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah,
it revolutionized open world RPGs. I think it's fair to say that. I think before that you had Fallout and stuff like that did that, and Skyrim and stuff like that. But this game really did revolutionize the open world RPG. It made everything better. Fleshed out side quests, fleshed out main quest, fleshed out characters,
just fleshed out world.
Yeah, the whole world was fantastic.
But there was
the lore
always
was
something going on. It was great, and
the lore's great in that game. I mean, it really is.
Gwent was a game in itself.
Gwent, yeah, I really enjoyed that. So, just a fantastic game. I don't even know it's hard to even say more about it because we've talked about it so much on this podcast, haven't we? But just a brilliant game. One of the best games of the decade.
And it deserves to be mentioned. I want to touch on another game that I believe lived up to the hype, and that's GTA 5.
Yeah. It was. I actually don't like it as much as 4, but it was. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenon, isn't it? The game itself is an absolute phenomenon. What's it sold 100 and something million copies? Absolutely.
Something like that.
It's one of the games
it makes from GTA Online.
One of the most influential, if not the most influential game of the whole decade. So, I mean, it was, I enjoyed the story, don't get me wrong. I thought it was fun. I mean, at the time as well, I remember the game looked amazing for its time, didn't it?
Yeah, really
I remember thinking, how the hell is this on the 360? I don't even know how it
I remember being worried as well about the 3 characters when I first heard it.
Yeah.
I was like, how are they going to do that?
It worked pretty well. I think it worked well. I think a couple of characters were stronger than maybe another one, but I think... I
actually liked all 3.
Yeah, you just didn't like Michael.
No, it was I think Franklin was probably the weakest.
Oh, wow.
I like Michael might be my favourite, actually.
Wow, I did not expect that.
No, I think it was Franklin was probably he was fine. He was a good character. I just didn't think he was as fleshed out as Trevor or Michael for me. So he felt
GTA is that juggernaut of a game that it can just do what it wants, man. It can come and go as it pleases. It can have 5 or 6 years in between. Comes around, it just smashes it out of the park every time. Millions upon millions of copies sold across all platforms. It just never seems like it's going to go away. When are people going to get bored of GTA? It's never.
I think as well, the level of detail in that game is what sets it apart for that time, doesn't it? The level of detail that was in that game when it launched was unlike anything else, I think, in that genre.
I completely agree.
It was just fantastic, so really enjoyed it.
My favourites of the decade. How about you, Perks?
Yeah.
I think I'll go to one that we all love unanimously, and that's Mass Effect. I'm going to go for Mass Effect 2 to begin with, so right at the beginning of the decade. That's we all loved 1, but 2 just kicked it up a notch, and it just gave you everything you wanted in terms of enhancements.
So
I mean, how many times does a game have a sequel these days and you think, like, how is the sequel crap in comparison to the original, or it didn't need a sequel. Like, 2 was just perfect in every sense. It was as close to a 10 as it could possibly be, I think. And yeah, everything you wanted from 1, it was like,
the combat
story was fantastic, the
improved.
combat was so far improved. Everything about it was just, for a Mass Effect fan, how you couldn't have played and enjoyed the story in the first one, I don't know anyway, but it didn't drop. It was fantastic. So you had story, you had gameplay, you had the combat, you had the way that you could Paragon and Renegade. Everything about it was just exactly what I wanted from a game. And thinking about it now, for that to have been a game in 2010, few things have come close since, to be fair, or even surpassed it for that matter.
In that genre, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Just a brilliant game, wasn't it? I mean, massive. Do you know what? The longer them games, like the longer it goes away from them games, the more I love them. I don't know what it is. Like, I remember loving them at the time. I'm sure you're similar, Eld, with Mass Effect, but probably I can't think of a better trilogy in gaming.
It's up
I just don't think there is one. I
it
really
might
don't.
be my personal favourite.
I think it's my personal favourite one. I think it's one of the best ones as well. I think playing the games, I think Mass Effect 3 left a sour taste for a lot of people, but
that's the ending, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is the ending. Yeah, the rest of the game was good.
Great. The Mass Effect 3 game was great. Like, this is what people forget. Like, people think, oh, it wasn't a terrible game. It was just the last hour or so was terrible. But I mean, I play them games probably every couple of years. I actually have as well. I know people say that I actually have played them like 3 or 4 times through in the last decade, and they're just as good when you play them back again. They're great. They're just brilliant games, full of character, full of everything. So definitely one of the best.
I think another couple of games, I'll mention them together because we've had both the Red Dead Redemption games. Speaking of characters and stuff, it'd been another Rockstar success. Another
Rockstar epic, yeah. I mean, what more is there to say about this franchise? I mean, I remember, a lot of people were skeptical when Red Dead 1 came out because it was like, oh, I don't know about this sort of Wild West like setting. But they completely blew it out of the water. The first one was great. The story, fantastic. John Marston, brilliant character. But I mean, I've got to say, I think the second one was the real pinnacle for me. I think it's actually, for me, I think when I look back now, I think that is the pinnacle game for me. My personal pinnacle game of the decade. I just think everything came together so well in that game.
Oh wow, you're throwing that out there. Red Dead 2 is your
I think so. Best. I think so. I mean, it's a tough competition, isn't it?
It is tough, yeah.
But I think so, yeah. I mean, maybe that's like because it's more recent as well, but I don't know. I just think that game encompasses everything that I love about games. It really does. I'm a big guy on story as well, so maybe that's influenced it. I know you are as well, Luke. But I love stories in games, and the story was just unbelievable. So
I'd like to shout out Red Dead Nightmare as well from Red Dead 1, the DLC for that. Like, so many DLCs are just tacked on and just whatever, and they don't do anything, but that's definitely one of the best DLCs that I can remember playing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that DLC. And I guess, just going quickly back to The Witcher, the DLC I haven't played it, but you say that was amazing as well, 100%. So I'd really need to play
best
that.
Best DLC I've ever
Definitely
played.
Need to play that, yeah.
Yeah, well, that doesn't even, Undead Nightmare is a great DLC, but the Witcher DLC is, there'll never be a DLC as good as that as far as I'm concerned.
Especially considering I only paid a tenner for it Streets Ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about a game we all played a long, long time ago now, Heavy Rain?
Oh, Heavy Rain.
That was great back in the day.
I loved that game.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
Jason.
Because it was it was another game where it was unlike there might have been games before it that we hadn't played, but that was the first game of that type I'd ever played. Sort of that real sort of choice-based, narrative-based, consequence-based game. It was brilliant. The story was great.
Butterfly effect, and how that changes the whole game, and everyone has a completely different experience. I love games like that because they are genuinely, or they were genuinely different at the time. It wasn't just something we've seen before. And I've said to you guys in the past, it's like, give me something that's completely different, and more often than not, I'm going to enjoy it. And even if I don't, I can still respect it. Oh, yeah. But Heavy Rain was great. I think
it really was.
God, I can't even remember. Was there 6 different endings, and there were all
a lot of different endings.
Yeah,
a lot of different endings.
Really, really impressive. A game that's not quite Heavy Rain, but something that was kind of ish similar. This is going to be a bit of a random one, but LA Noire.
Yeah,
that was different.
I did like that.
Fun. It was fun.
Yeah,
probably. I don't think it was like the greatest game, but it was fun.
It wasn't like my game of the decade, or it wouldn't even probably be in like a top 20. But it was different. It was something that we kind of had before in terms of the way that you traverse the world and the environment. A little, not GTA like, but you know what I mean in terms of the layout there and how it was set. I
just remember Colt Phelps, LAPD.
Yeah, but the interrogations and that was like something that I don't remember ever seeing before or seeing since, really. So
trying to read people's faces.
Yeah, which by the way was like very like contentious.
They were well exaggerated. Ridiculously exaggerated.
Yeah, but sometimes as well though, I remember on that game there'd be like a guy proper shifty, he's looking left and right. It looks like he's lying. It's like your line is like incorrect. He was telling the truth. It's like no way was he telling the truth.
I know.
But no, that was very interesting, just because it was unique. And I think in terms of games that have done something a bit differently, I wanted to shout that one out, even if it wasn't the best game I've ever played.
I guess one I've just thought of now, going back to a game again from early on in the decade, was Skyrim. I think we have to mention Skyrim.
It deserves a mention.
Yeah, I loved it.
Re-released plenty of times.
Available on every single platform to have ever existed.
But I know you didn't play it too much digitally when I don't think you played it. You played it a bit, didn't you? But not.
I probably put like.
Did you play
40,
it quite a lot?
40 hours.
Oh, you did put quite a lot.
But I never really completed it.
No. But that game was, for its time, I don't know if you agree, but it was fantastic for its time. 2011, like I remember being so hyped for that game, and although you had a few problems, didn't you, with saves, which I think ruined your experience with it. Yeah. But in general, the game itself was great.
No, I won't go on a rant about what may or may not have been a game-ending problem for me, but the game itself was great, and I think we're all ready for the next installment in
probably in that
world.
Time.
Yeah, but again, like it feels like we're ready, and that speaks volumes. Like even after they released it in a million different places, people still want more. So
yeah, absolutely.
Skyrim, big thumbs up from me.
What about I'm thinking PS4 exclusives now, Luke, because we played quite a few of them, didn't we? This gen.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
has to be Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Well, that's my personal opinion. Spider-Man's the best one.
You think it's the best PS4 exclusive?
Yeah, that or Horizon.
Oh, I mean, Horizon for me. We'd probably... I mean, just touching on Spider-Man, though, first. What a surprise that was in terms of... I don't think we expected a Spider-Man game could have such a good story for a start.
I didn't expect it.
I love that story. I think that's the best part of the game. Like, the swinging's fun and all that, but I think the story was the most surprising element for me.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it at all.
I really enjoyed the characters in the game as well, and the villains they selected to use or chose.
And it looks great. It's a fantastic looking game, isn't it? The style they use and fantastic game.
Web swinging. I mean, I know people harken back to like the old one on like original.
I don't know. I think this one's best.
2, whatever it was.
I think this one's the best.
This is easily the best.
Yeah, it really is.
And New York in the game looks amazing.
Oh, it looks fantastic, yeah. So that's definitely a highlight for me. I think Horizon Zero Dawn, I love that game. I really do. I can't speak highly enough. Another game that had probably been my top 5 of the decade. The story, fantastic. The setting, the ambience, the music. I don't know, everything about that game just worked, didn't it? It was such a surprising game, and there was just something about that game. When I think back now, I think, that was brilliant, that game.
It does draw you in.
Was.
It made you want to learn more about the lore.
I even like the enemies and stuff. Like, it was cool, like fighting the robots and stuff like the robot animals. And
the only thing I didn't like was shooting bone arrows into metal and it defeating them. But
that was a bit of a... I wouldn't say an oversight, because I assume it wasn't really, it's not supposed to be realistic, but yeah, it was cool. The setting as well, it being set like like a million years or something ridiculous after the end of the world.
Was it a million?
It was something weird like that. It was a long time after it was set.
It was a long time.
But yeah, what a great game that was.
Last of Us?
Yeah, I can't believe not even mentioned that yet. The Last of Us, yeah. I mean, amazing. The best PS3 game, probably.
Yeah, I'd definitely agree with that.
It was just, again, another game where, how did that game run on like a PS3? Like, it's unbelievable, really. You think
it
back
only
to, like,
just did. It felt like it was going to blow up when the game was played.
But you think back to like the early PS3 and Xbox 360 games, like Perfect Dark Zero and games like that, and then you go forward to like, Last of Us, and it's like, this is incredible how this same console's managed to do this. But that game was so good, wasn't it, for its time? That one of the best stories in gaming, I think that's fair to say. One of the best narratives. The gameplay was actually surprisingly fun. The crafting was fun. Yeah, it was just a great game. There's not much more to say about it. The game looked great. The characters, Joel and Ellie, were fantastic.
They pretty much nailed it.
they nailed that game. Naughty Dog, they've had a great decade, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to touch on as well a couple of games that have had 2 games in the decade.
Yeah.
A couple of franchises that had 2. Fallout and Uncharted.
Yeah, New Vegas and Fallout 4.
Yep.
So
and 3 and 4, sorry, for Uncharted.
Yeah, just touching on Fallout first. I think Fallout New Vegas. I think looking back now, like another game where the longer the time goes on, the better it gets, I guess. But I did really enjoy New Vegas. I think you're in agreement with this, Perks, aren't you? That I don't think it's quite as good as 3, but even so, it's still, in some ways, it was better than 3 in certain aspects.
Yeah, a remarkable game. Like for me, and I know this is a podcast to praise what we've had over the last decade. 4 didn't really hit the spot for me. I wasn't a massive fan, but New Vegas was a good game, in particular.
Not great.
Yeah,
I think a good game.
Basically, my interpretation of it has always been this. Like, I absolutely loved 3 so much. I put so much time into that. New Vegas, the same.
Yeah.
And 4, I did, but not to the same extent. And I just think it just didn't have what the magic that 3 and New Vegas had for me. Still a really good game. Still one that I would definitely mention in terms of like the last decade. But New Vegas was just from the beginning that scene that you have out in the desert with getting killed basically, and the way that the game progresses from there. Yeah, New Vegas was a great experience.
Definitely. And what was it you said? Uncharted, didn't you?
Uncharted.
There was. Uncharted. I can't remember when did Uncharted. Yeah, Uncharted 2 was a bit before, wasn't it? But 3, 4, and there was that Lost Legacy spin-off as well. But yeah, Uncharted, they're just fantastic, aren't they? They're just great games. So fun to play. Nathan Drake's an amazing character. I think Uncharted 4 in some ways was a little bit disappointing, but in other ways it was great. Like the game looked amazing. Some of the things it did were great. The way it told its story was fantastic. Uncharted's just a great franchise and definitely one of the franchises of the decade.
It is, and it was always tough to finish off with 4 when the 3 before it had been so highly praised and received.
A game that you used to didn't play that I feel like I have to mention is the Forza Horizon series, especially 3 and 4. I mean, I know you guys aren't really fans of racing games to that extent, but them games, honestly, are probably the best 2 racing games ever made. And I don't think many people would argue with that, especially 4. I think.
Which is the one I played on when the Xbox One first came out.
Oh, that was Motorsport. That was the more sim one, sort of. Gran Turismo type one, yeah. But the Horizon games are so fun, honestly. They're immaculate. Honestly, Forza Horizon 4 is an immaculate video game, and a lot of people do regard it as the greatest racing game ever made, and I'd probably be in agreement, and it definitely deserves a mention, no doubt.
I think for as much as I haven't played the Horizon games, I respect what they've done for the Forza series in general. Yeah. I know they run adjacently to the actual Motorsport games, but to me they went dry a long time ago. And for Horizon to basically across the board receive the marks that it does in terms of renovating the series a little bit and giving you something different.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely appreciative of what they've done there.
What about The Walking Dead? Of course, because that's a very influential video game in the decade, isn't it? The original. Obviously, the original series, I know they did like 4 series in the end, but I'm talking more about the original series.
And to specify as well, the Telltale one, not...
The Telltale one, yes. There was an awful one, wasn't there? Like PS3 and 360, But that game, for its time, was brilliant, wasn't it? It was the way it was told, its story with Clementine and Lee. I love that game. I really do. It's one of my favourite games of the decade, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely one that I think we all really bought into Telltale and what they were selling like from that point onwards, even though they rarely reached the same heights they did with a few others. But
whenever I think of it, whenever I think of Walking Dead, I've just got that Lee in my head. Clementine.
She says it about 1,000 times. And even with that annoying thing going on throughout the whole game, it's still right up there.
There was such an emotional attachment with that game, wasn't there? Like, you really felt attached to them characters, and you kind of wanted to know what was going to happen next. And the conclusion was obviously great, but
I'm surprised you guys haven't mentioned Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands
2.
2, I guess, more was probably the one. That was a great game.
2 was way more fun than 3.
Yeah.
Any of the Halos?
Halo 4. Halo Reach, of course. Halo Reach was a really good Halo. That was 2010, wasn't it?
It was.
The campaign was arguably one of the best, actually. Halo Reach's campaign.
I'd definitely say Reach over 4. Reach
definitely.
I can't even make a case for 4 to overtake Reach.
Unfortunately, Halo Reach's multiplayer was ruined by the armor lock. But
if you didn't play it when it first came out, then you might not understand how drastic that was. But that was not cool. The armor abilities, if you were a classic Halo fan, they really didn't work.
I'd like to throw out a little curveball.
Yeah,
I think most people who played it though would probably agree it's a fantastic game. But what remains of Edith Finch?
Oh yeah, that game's you haven't played it, have you, Perks?
No, definitely a curveball.
Oh, that's. Do you know what? I don't know if you'd agree. I think you should play that game, but I don't know if you'll ever get a chance to play it. Is it on Game Pass? I can't remember. It might be.
I'm not sure.
Can't remember if it is, but I tell you what, that game is, in terms of like walking simulators, the best one, I think.
Walking simulators.
Well, not selling it to him, lad.
No. It is a walking simulator. I mean, it is though, isn't it, Luke? That is pretty much you don't do much in the game.
Uncovering what's happened.
You uncover what happened.
It does keep you.
It's a storybook
really
game,
interested,
isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, people say Death Stranding's a walking simulator. So.
Well, yeah, but this is a whole different level, though. Like, Death Stranding, there is gameplay and stuff, but What Remains of Edith Finch is one of my favourite indie games of the decade, no doubt. I thought it was great. I thought the story was brilliant in it, actually.
Yeah, so. I loved it. Anyway, I want to wrap up the video and put you guys on the spot. Choose your game of the decade. And if it helps, I'll tell you mine.
You go first on this. You're clearly prepared.
Well, I was just, when we were talking through then, I thought about it, and for me, it's actually Witcher 3.
Yeah, strong
it's
choice.
It's the one I enjoy. Well, Spider-Man might take the enjoyment level, but as a game...
Mass Effect 2. This is what I mean, you forget. I mean, that was amazing as well.
That was amazing, but I think The Witcher, it's not often I put in like 70 plus hours into a game.
No, that's true.
And I did
you
that
really
with The Witcher.
don't. So that speaks volumes for The Witcher.
It does. So the combat, story, everything, I'm going Witcher.
Okay.
I'll go next. No, I will go next. And I think, to be honest, you have made it easier for me. I'm looking at my notes here, and I have to go for The Witcher as well. And mainly because there's been a few games like that, whether it's been Mass Effect 2 or a few of the Fallouts or even like the Borderlands games. Like Diablo 3 was another one that I've put a lot of time into that we haven't even mentioned because there's just so many. But The Witcher, from start to finish, every character, every location, every quest, the way that you have to think about, especially on the higher difficulties, your own loadouts and your armor sets and your potions and elixirs that you use and things like that. It literally means something. Every part of the game means something. There's nothing in there that, as far as I remember, is throwaway or it doesn't matter. It's such an amazing experience from start to finish. And then I know it's a little bit cheating to include DLC as well, because that's not the original package. But even after they've knocked it out of the park to begin with, they then throw out DLC that is
amazing.
For me, the best DLC of all time. Yeah. Reasonably priced. Not £40 for something that lasts absolutely no time whatsoever.
It could have been worth £40 as well. It was that good.
Yeah, it was basically worth the cost of the game again. So absolutely, it could have been. I think that is the game, and what is it, like 5 years ago now? That's the game that stands up through all the similar games or even games in other genres that are incredibly highly rated. That's the one that I look at and I can't pick a hole in it. I can't say this was really good, but it's just a complete experience for me. And if you haven't played The Witcher 3 or the DLC, then
where have you been?
Just have to do it.
Where have you been if you haven't played that game? But
you got yourself a bargain as well.
Yeah. So I guess, my one probably isn't going to surprise you too much. As much as I love The Witcher 3, and I really adore that game. Mass Effect 2, absolutely incredible. Even games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I thought was great last year.
That is not your game of the decade.
It is not. And the game of the decade for me is Red Dead 2, and I adored it. I adored that game. I think the characters, everything about that game, it's as close to me to a perfect experience as I'm probably ever going to get in gaming. Like, I know the game itself, like some people say, about the combat and stuff like that, I'm not sure, it's a bit clunky, but the actual experience, the story experience, the characters, everything about like the world building, everything about that game is close to perfection to me as you can get. And even like, you mentioned about DLC being a big factor with The Witcher, and, adds so much to the game. That last part, this is obviously a spoiler now, if you haven't played it. But that last part,
Perks hasn't played
I can't say yet. That's a good point. But like, you know what I'm saying, El? The last probably 10, 15 hours of the game, they could have easily made that DLC, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could have.
And they didn't. They put it in the main game, and it could have been DLC, and it wasn't. And I just think that speaks volumes of Rockstar anyway, as a developer, and how good this game was, and I adored it. So
probably make enough money on GTA Online, so they're like, don't need to make that DLC.
Yeah, good point.
But it is a fantastic game. So
it's been a great decade, hasn't it?
Yeah,
overall.
Yeah,
the gaming. I mean, it really has.
Fantastic games. So.
Let's hope for another 10 years of great games after this.
It's like Mike Bassett at the end of Mike Bassett.
10 more years.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's a niche joke.
That reference is lost on literally everybody.
Probably everyone apart from the odd one.
Yeah, but that wraps up our video for Games of the Decade, and we'll be back next year then with the podcast, with a back to normal podcast, I guess, covering the gaming news. If you're listening to us on any audio platform, please leave a nice review and share with your friends. If you're watching us or listening to us on YouTube, like, comment and subscribe. Let us know what your favourite games of the past decade have been, as that will really help the channel to grow. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at ChetReachPod. Links will be in the description below. You can also follow the guys on social media. Where can people find you, Sud?
With me, it's just Twitter, so it's at David Senspud.
Perky?
At JG Perks.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Leld, LEL3Ds, I don't know, in the end for Instagram. Anyway, again, Happy New Year, guys, and have a good week. We'll talk again soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.